At the beginning of the film, we are introduced to Yossi. Yossi loves to travel a lot. He loves to go to the Amazon forest. Before reaching the Amazon forest, he goes to a nearby area. In this area, a lot of tourists come for camping. Here, Yossi meets a boy named Marks. He too loved to travel a lot like Yossi, and this love made them good friends. Marks introduces Yossi to his other friend named Kevin, who is a photographer, and he used to visit the forests often. Because of the same passion and work, these three soon become good friends and they become a good group. They camp here for many days and enjoy a lot. One day, when Yossi was wandering alone in this town, he met a stranger. Surprisingly, he knew Yossi's name. He asked Yossi, "Do you like to go to the Amazon forests? I know you are eager to go there and I can help you." Carl told Yossi shocking thing that there is an Indian tribe living in the middle of the forest. They are wild people and no one knows about them. Yossi became more excited after hearing this because he was very eager to meet the wild people. Carl tells Yossi, "If you want to meet them or want to go there, I can help you." Yossi was very eager to go on adventures. Without thinking that why Carl was so kind to him, he is a stranger and how does he know Yossi? Without thinking all this, he decided to go with Carl, and more than that, he convinced both his friends to go with him. The next day they go and meet Carl again. Carl had also brought a map of the forest this time, and while showing the forest map, he tells that it will take 3 to 4 days for them to go to the place where the tribe lives. They are wild people and they were going to travel through a plain before that. They take all the necessary things with them and start the journey. It was morning when they reached near the forest by plane. They traveled on foot in the forest all day, and then at night they camped and slept. When midnight passed, their eyes opened with the sound of someone screaming loudly. They found out that it was the voice of Marks, who had been bitten by an insect on his head. Anyway, this insect was not poisonous, so without any problem, they started their journey again the next morning. They continue their journey all day, and in the evening it starts raining heavily here. They had also started their journey in the rain because if they had stopped they might have fallen ill. Finally they reached a place where some people lived, but these were not wild people. These were ordinary people, and this was a village-like place. Everyone welcomed them very well. They were given food and shelter, and they all got along well with them because they all knew Carl from the beginning. Yossi and his companions found out that Carl often visit this place. Anyway, the next day they also come out of this tribe and start their journey. On the way today, Carl had hunted a monkey in front of them. It was illegal to hunt anything from here. They were a little scared, but Carl started laughing and moved on from there. Even though they did not want to, they kept walking behind, and at night they set up camp again. The next morning they had to start their journey again. While traveling this time, Marks was not able to walk. When he had severe pain in his feet and it was difficult for him to walk, Carl took off his shoes and looked that Marks's feet were completely injured and it would take him about 4 days to recover. Carl advises them that we should camp here for 4 days, but Yossi and his other companion were very excited to see wild people. Yossi's other friend, who was a photographer, had to write about all these adventures in his journal. He was not ready to stop at any cost. That's why they look for a new way. Yossi suggests to make a boat and start their journey through water. Carl did not agree to this because the way to the river was very dangerous. The river here flows with great speed, but when Kevin and Yossi were stubborn, they had to agree. After that, they all made a boat together. They bring all their luggage on that boat and start their journey through the river. At this time, their captain was Carl because Carl was the only person who knew the way to this forest. For a while, their journey was easy, but after a while, the fast waves of the river began to spoil their balance. At this time, Carl thought that he should put his boat aside, but Kevin was still stubborn that he should move forward with the flow of water. Maybe he didn't know about the dangers here. In all this, there is a fight between them. Yossi stops him with great difficulty, and now Yossi takes the boat to the shore. They had set up a camp here. After setting up the camp, Carl decided that they would stay in this camp all night and start their journey the next morning. After this, he had no intention of traveling through water. He decided that now he would travel on foot, but Yossi and Kevin were against this decision. They were finding it difficult to walk now. They thought that they should travel through water. They now asked for advice from Marks. His feet were fine now. That's why he decided to travel on foot with Carl, because he knew that Carl knew how to survive and he can also help him in this. Similarly, they were divided into 2 groups. Carl now showed them the map and decided that after 3 days, they would meet at a special point in the forest. Now for the next 3 days, Carl and Marks were going to travel on foot, while Yossi and Kevin were going to travel on a boat. Anyway, let's start the journey. At first, the journey to the river was completely normal, but then there was a storm in the river. The waves were so strong that it was difficult for them to balance their boat. The boat swept them away with the flow of water. Fortunately, a huge rock in front of the river saved them from moving forward, and now they were hanging with their boat. If they had not made a decision at the right time, they could have lost their lives. Yossi was very nervous. He was not able to make a decision. Then Kevin tells him, "Listen Yossi, I jump and swim to the shore. After reaching the shore, I will throw a rope. You come to me through it," but Yossi was not ready for this. Then Kevin encouraged him and he jumped into the river with great courage, and after a lot of hard work and strength, he finally reached the shore. Before he could throw a rope towards Yossi and save him, the flow of water began to flow in the opposite direction. Because of the reverse flow of water, Yossi fell into the water and the water quickly took Yossi out of here. Kevin could not believe his eyes. He had not planned all this. He was about to save his friend's life in a second, but maybe then he would never see Yossi. He screamed and called Yossi, but now nothing could be done. Kevin started moving forward. After a while, we were shown that Yossi had also come to the shore floating with the flow of water. He did not understand what to do. He looked towards the river. His bag was also coming with him. He grabbed his bag and took out the Bible from it and started reading it. Carl had also kept some pills in this bag. This was a survival medicine. It gave him strength. Yossi eats this one tablet and now he starts his journey in the forest alone, hoping to find his friend. After wandering in the forest for a long time, when he did not see any hope of getting out of here, he took out the map given by Carl. After looking at the directions from the map, he started his journey again. On the way, he saw a fruit tree. He had not eaten anything for a long time. Finally, he climbed the tree, and when he tried to pick up the fruit, the snake sitting there had already bitten him, but thank God, the snake's attack did not harm him. The snake also came down with him, so Yossi also attacked the snake with a stone, killed it and ate it. After all this, he thought of resting at night. At night, he wakes up from someone's voice, and it was Marks's voice. He opened his eyes and saw that he was really standing in front of him. He was happy, but as he started getting closer to him, Marks disappeared from there, and we found out that all this was his illusion. He was getting crazy because he had been alone for so many days. Now when he started sleeping, he felt that there was a wild animal around him. It was true. This time he used his intelligence, and while lighting the lighter, he sprayed gas from behind, and by fire, he drove the animal away from him and went to sleep. When he woke up in the morning, he had a severe headache. When he touched his head, blood was coming out of his head. He felt something moving in his head, and he realized that there was an insect in his head. A creepy scene is shown here where the insect is right inside his head, and he grabs the insect by the tail and pulls it out of his head. Anyway, now he starts his journey ahead. On the way, he also found birds' eggs, which he broke and ate. A little further, he found a place where the people of the tribe used to live. Then due to some danger, they left from there. This was a good place to camp, where he rested for a while. Sitting here, his feet were also hurting a lot. When he took off his shoes, he saw that his feet were injured. Blood was dripping from his feet because of the pain in his feet. He had to spend the night here, but in the morning, he got up with a lot of enthusiasm to get out of this forest. After a little walk, he saw footprints and he becomes happy. He thought that these would be Marks's footprints. He had a hope that now he was very close to his friend, but it was not. The scene cuts and we are finally shown Kevin, who had flown to the riverbank, and the villagers saw him and rescued him. As Kevin gets a little better, he immediately goes and meets the officer here and asks him for help for Yossi because he was lost in the water. The officer also listens to Kevin and sends a rescue plane into the forest to rescue Yossi. Here, Yossi, who was still in the forest because of living in this forest for 14 days in a row, his mental condition was now getting worse. Suddenly, he heard the sound of a plane from above. A ray of hope arises in him, and he took the red cloth to give them signals, but his bad luck that the plane could not see him or hear him. Here the plane came and reported that they did not find Yossi anywhere in the forest. Hearing this, Kevin gets shocked and he once again asked the officer for help to save Yossi. At this time, the officer thought that Yossi must have died in the forest because he has been lost in the forest for 2 weeks. Here, if someone does not come from the forest for 5 days, then it is assumed that he must have died, but still Kevin had this hope in his heart that his friend is alive. That's why he meets a person in the village who knew very well about the forest and asking him for help to find Yossi. While asking for help from him, he now goes back to the forest through the river. Here in the forest we see Yossi, whose mental condition was getting worse. His physical condition has also deteriorated. He has no strength left to move forward. He is lying there lifeless. Suddenly, a wild woman comes near him, seeing whom he was scared. The wild woman was also scared to see him, but someone being with him at this time was a great blessing for Yossi. He explained to the wild girl, "Nothing will happen, you come to me and stay with me." He makes the wild girl sleep with him. When his eyes opened after a while, he found out that the girl was not around, and then it was revealed here that the girl had not come here. All this that Yossi had seen was his illusion. After this, he regains control over his mind and reaches a tree on which there were a lot of ants. He takes off his clothes and grabs that tree so that the ants climb on it and bite him and give him the courage to go to the river. According to his thinking, this is exactly what happened. All the ants climbed on his body, and when they started biting him, he ran away to get the ants off his body and reached the river. Finally, after cleaning the ants, he writes Y here and makes a sign of his name, so that whenever Kevin reaches here looking for him, he finds out that Yossi is alive here. He was thinking that suddenly a tortoise passed in front of him. He immediately picked up a stone and tried to kill it, so that he kills it and eats it and quenches his hunger, but then he felt pity for this tortoise and he did not kill the tortoise. Anyway, night falls, and now Yossi had found out that he will not be able to survive because he had no life in him to move forward, to survive, and no one had come to take him yet. He thought he would die. In this confusion, he slept. It was morning, so we saw a good thing that Kevin really came to this side of the river while looking for him, and he saw Yossi's sign. He understood that Yossi is somewhere near here, but even after searching a lot, he did not find him anywhere, and then Kevin had to go from here hopelessly. Kevin also felt that now Yossi isn't alive. As the boat's generator turned on to go back, his voice shook Yossi. Now Yossi was calling Kevin, but his voice was not able to reach so far to Kevin because there was a lot of noise of the waves here, and the boat was also noisy. Thus, Yossi's last hope was also broken. His friend came so far to save him, but maybe the fate wasn't with him. He was thinking this. Then Kevin turns behind and sees the forest for the last time. He doesn't know that he would see Yossi. He makes noise and makes the driver turns the boat. As the boat comes to the shore, Kevin runs to Yossi and they hug each other. It was an emotional scene. They start weeping. Yossi was shocked to see Kevin alive. He thanks God, and then they return to their village. The villagers were also surprised to see Yossi. If there was anyone who could survive in the Amazon rainforest for more than 2 weeks, it was Yossi. They thank God that he returned. After it, we are told about Carl and Marks at the end of the story. Carl was a criminal who recruited Yossi, Kevin, and Marks to assist him in his unlawful activities. Yossi and Kevin were fortunate enough to turn their lives around, but no information was revealed about what happened to Carl and Marks. By the end of the film, we discover that it was based on real-life events. Yossi's bravery was further inspired by the film.